All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. My name is Mike Frazier, MD, and I help high achieving men save their marriage. So, today we're talking about marriage counseling versus marriage coaching. A lot of times there's confusion about the two. So, I want to just kind of try to clear some of that up today. And when you might go to one versus another, finding a marriage counselor versus finding a marriage coach. So, marriage counseling and marriage coaching, they have a lot of similarities. They have a similar goal, and that's to make your marriage better. That's it, right? Like most of the people that go into these kind of professions, that's what they want. They really just want you to live a better life. And different types of people are drawn to different types of modalities and things like that. But they just want to help you have a better relationship, better marriage. Often they're going to teach you communication skills and techniques. They both kind of have that in common usually. They both consider past experiences and how they influence the present situation. Now, marriage counseling sometimes will go into a lot more detail with that, especially if you get someone that's more in like a psychoanalytic type of viewpoint. Like if they had that kind of training, they're really going to go into like, oh, how did your parents and seeing them influence things? And, oh yeah, I could see how you would do that same thing and do that same pattern. And that can be, useful. And then looking at what I think sometimes those therapies miss is how it applies to right now. They kind of like go too far into like what caused the problems and not far enough into, well, what do you do about it? Um, this is one thing I don't like is if you go to a marriage counselor where you're just going to complain the whole time and they're not going to challenge you or kind of point out how you're part of the problem. I don't think that's very useful most of the time as far as a marriage situation goes. Now, if you're just going for like maybe depression or anxiety or something like that, you just kind of need someone to listen to you, that's great. But if you're looking for, hey, I've got a problem, I need to solve it, Another thing, counseling, just not necessarily marriage counseling, but counseling in general is, designed to diagnose and treat a type of mental illness. Or, you see a psychiatrist in that context that they're going to like diagnose you with something. Versus coaching, they're not trying to do that. They're not trying to diagnose you with anything. So, I train as a psychiatrist and I practice that and I do some work with geriatric psychiatry. But that's very different than when I'm coaching you. I'm not trying to diagnose a mental illness in you. I'm trying to help you have a better marriage and look at how your thoughts are getting in the way. So, typically someone who's higher functioning goes to coaching. Someone who's really having a lot of struggles will go to counseling. That makes sense. So it's helpful to ask your counselor or coach to describe their approach when you choose a counselor or a coach, right? Say like, what's your approach? Like, how do you go about this? What's your philosophy? Just to see if it lines up with the way you want to do it. Okay. So, this is going to be a very basic overview of the different marriage counseling sort of camps, but this is the way that I kind of think about it in my own mind. So there's a type of therapy called emotionally focused therapy. This was created by Sue Johnson. It's very effective for some people. It's more from an attachment perspective. So the basic concept is we need each other. Okay, we need each other to validate each other. We need each other to support each other. Okay, the more we validate each other, the more we feel loved and accepted. Her big moments that she likes is when one person reaches out to the other person and really expresses their vulnerability and how much they need the other person. And the other person responds and says, yeah, like I'm here for you, I've got you, right? And those are super powerful and super meaningful things. They're great when those do happen, and that does create bonding and a good relationship. Okay, so it can be very helpful and very effective. Another kind of type is like the five love languages by Gary Chapman. Like understand each other. How do you accept love? How do you express it? Another one, his needs, her needs by Willard Harley, who says respect. Men need respect. Women need love. Um, there's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray. To me, these ones all kind of have a similar theme, which is like just do what the other person wants you to do for them, and then they'll probably return the favor. It's like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, and this is the best way to scratch the other person's back. Right? This is how they'll probably respond to that. Now, the problem with all of these, in my opinion, and at least for me in my own experience and in my own marriage and with the people I've worked with, is you're kind of in a tough spot because you can, try to do all these things for your wife. You can try to reach out to her. You can try to do her love languages. But then what if she doesn't do it back? Or what if she doesn't validate you or support you? Now you're kind of stuck, right? There's nowhere to go. And to me, this is kind of the weakness in these approaches. Okay. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't work at all. It does work really well for some people, but if that doesn't really appeal to you, or if you try and it doesn't work, there are other approaches to look out for. So there's one that's more based on what's called differentiation. David Schnarch, Jennifer Finlayson Fife are the main people that I follow that sort of, believe in this. David Schnarch kind of one of the big pioneers for it. So the way that they approach it is more like marriage. It's an opportunity for growth, for personal growth, and then you can grow together as well. So it's they say it's not so much that like your spouse needs to validate you more, because that's what Sue Johnson and these other people say. It's just you're not validating them enough, right? But David Schnarch and these guys will say, well, it's actually not that. The problem is that you won't bring things up that need to be brought up because your wife's opinion is actually too important to you. Like you won't bring up something that bothers you because you don't want to hurt her feelings. You don't want to rock the boat. And then you start feeling stuck, right? So like a basic example of this might be, your wife makes a meal that you don't like, right? And so, you know, attachment theory would say something like, just validate her. Thank you so much for making this. I love it. I love you, right? All of that. Where, differentiation theory would say, no, like tell her you appreciate it, but also tell her you don't like it, right? Now, probably some EFT people are going to say, no, that's not really what we teach. But, just kind of as a basic understanding, it's like the main idea is you don't have to wait for your spouse to validate you before you say something, right? And it's the idea of self-validated intimacy versus other validated intimacy. Where people get stuck is they say, well, I'm only going to share with you if you're going to validate it, right? I'm only going to share my feelings if I know you're a safe place. Okay, Sue Johnson likes that terminology, being a safe place. Problem is, you don't know if they're going to be safe until you express it. The example I give a lot is my wife having questions about our church. And I really wasn't a safe place for her to express that, but she did anyway. And that led to really good growth for our marriage. Or for me to say, look, like sex is really important to me. Even though you do have a history of sexual abuse, it's still important to me. Even though I knew she wouldn't like that, it was true to me and important. And that's what led to growth. So she didn't really validate me that well when I first expressed it. I didn't really validate her that well when she first expressed it to me. So, but we grew from it, right? So you can't be waiting all the time for validation. It has been my experience, right? Okay. So the growth here is to become intimate, to know and to be known, to share things with the other person that the other person probably won't like. They probably won't validate. Okay. You have to validate it for yourself. Know that you're living in integrity. Okay. Knowing and being known. Okay. So I know myself. I'm going to show myself to you, even though might not like it. Right. And we can grow from that. From another big guy that I follow is Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So getting to win-win, right? You can't really get to a win-win unless you are willing to express yourself clearly, understand your wife clearly, right? Then you can get to that win-win. But if you're always kind of hiding what's actually a win for you because you think your wife won't validate it, now you're in trouble, right? Now you're stuck. Okay. So attachment versus differentiation, they're very different, and my particular stance is more on the differentiation side. So if that resonates more with you, someone like me would be a better fit for you probably. So there's also like more of a skill-based viewpoint, like, oh, let's just kind of learn how to communicate. Let's learn how to phrase things better. There's like a religious based viewpoint. Let's pray. Let's read scriptures together. Okay. All of these have value, right? Um, and there are many more approaches for marriage counseling. These are just kind of some of the main ones that I've looked at and studied and seen. I'm sure there are many more, and you know, someone would probably could do a really huge in-depth thing about this, but this is just to kind of give you an overview. So marriage coaching, on the other hand, it's more skill-based in general. It's designed for higher functioning individuals. Again, like I said, you're not going to come in there and be diagnosed with a mental illness, right? You're going there to say, I've got a problem that I want to work on. With marriage, usually people aren't looking for a diagnosis, which is, makes coaching and counseling a little bit different than like individual. But, you definitely are not going to get a clinical diagnosis from a coach. There's a wide variety and quality of training. Um, so you might get a really great coach. You might get someone who took an online class for a couple days and now calls himself a coach. So it's a wide variety. With counseling, you at least kind of know someone's got a degree and kind of went through some things. So there's a benefit to that. But again, the main key is like, does their approach fit with what you believe in, right? Is their approach going to help you? Does it resonate with you? It matters. Okay. So the best coaching methodology that I found is through Brooke Castillo and the Life Coach School. So she has her own podcast, the Life Coach School podcast, excellent. And so I use a modified form of her, what she calls the model, as my primary coaching tool. It just helps you see how your thoughts create your feelings, which lead to your actions, which those actions have certain intentions. This is my addition to it, because what I see is that in interpersonal relationships, what people pick up on is those intentions. Like you wash the dishes, but if your intention was to get her to notice you, it falls flat, right? That's what I call being a mosquito. You do nice things, but you're expecting something back, trying to suck off attention, appreciation, affection, and it doesn't work, right? She picks up that intention, and the result is she's mad at you, right? Instead of being happy. Or maybe she gives in and says, oh, yeah, thanks, but she doesn't really mean it because she knows you had that intention. Versus if your intention was to just serve her, say, hey, yeah, stuff was dirty, I cleaned it up. You're much more likely to get a thank you at that point, right? Because you weren't being a mosquito. Okay. So, my personal approach, I like the term coach better than counselor, because what it implies is that you're practicing a skill that you can get better at. You've had a coach for sports, and what did that coach do? Okay. If you want to learn how to golf better, you go see a golf coach, and that coach is going to help you develop that skill. Okay. So that's the reason I like the term coach so much, because I believe that there are certain skills required to have an outstanding marriage that can be learned. Absolutely. You just have to practice them. Okay. And it does take practice. But that's what I see my role as. My role is to show you the exercises, right? Show you the mental, emotional, spiritual, and sexual exercises you need to do so that you can build the skills necessary to have a great marriage. So to me, it kind of falls into three basic camps. So number one is trust. Okay. Trust is foundation of a good marriage. Now that comes in two forms. One has to be trust of yourself, and then other people can also trust you, basically being a trustworthy person. What does it take to do that? It takes a clear understanding of your value as a person, okay? That you have inherent value, that you matter, okay? I'm going to put a new module in from this book I just read that was so good about that, right? That we don't have to earn our value, even though as high achieving guys, a lot of times that's what drives us, is we feel like we're trying to finally reach that point where we're valuable enough. But a really powerful statement from the book Driven that I mentioned in a couple podcasts ago. How to Manage Your High Achieving Brain is the name of that one if you want to look at it. But this concept of I'm okay as I am now and I can be better. Like I'm already okay. I'm already valuable. yeah, I can always do better. And that's fun. For high achieving guys, we like that. We don't like to just say, oh, I'm fine as I am now and I don't need to do anything, right? We like to say, no, like I'm okay. And I'll still be okay when I reach the next goal and the next goal, but I'm not going to be more of a valuable person when I reach that goal, right? It's a journey that I'm on, and it's one that I like to be on, right? And I'm okay where I am now. It just brings like such a sense of calm to me, at least, right? If you're a religious person like I am, knowing that you're a child of God, a son of God, that's powerful. That doesn't change based on what you accomplish or don't accomplish. Like you have that value. You have someone who cares. Okay. So you understand your own values as a person and then your own personal values. Like, what do I want? What do I like? What do I, you know, um, what do I value? Right. And then you have the desire and practice of living true to those values, basically living in integrity, being a man of your word, following through with what you say you're going to do. Right. That builds a sense of trust and self esteem. So attractive, right, to women. And it just feels great. Okay. When you can do that. The other part of trust, right, is being able to manage your own thoughts and emotions well, to understand where my thoughts are coming from, be more conscious of that, manage your own emotions so you're not losing your temper or stuffing your emotions, okay? Or like having them build up and then letting it out in a weird way, like, pornography or overeating or over drinking or having an affair, right? You learn how to manage your thoughts and emotions, and all of that is building trust in yourself. Like, I can manage myself, right? I can take care of myself. From there, so that's trust, right? From there, it's communication. Okay. How do I really deeply understand where my wife's coming from? And how do I express myself clearly to her? It's really the basis of communication. And when you really understand your own thoughts and feelings well, okay, now you can communicate them all. Also, when you understand your own thoughts and feelings really well and actions and intentions, right, you can sort of start seeing them in other people as well. Okay, it kind of starts with seeing them in yourself, and then you practice seeing them in other people and understanding where other people are coming from. That's when you're really good. You get really good at communication. So you're able to understand, you're able to express yourself, and then it's getting to those win-win agreements, creating a relationship that works for both of you, right? That's the skill of communication. And next is intimacy. Okay, so trust, communication, and then intimacy. Intimacy is, again, getting to those agreements that work for both of you because you understand what you both want. Okay, it's also making requests of each other, setting boundaries, again, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't. Remembering you have a choice in your life, including in your relationship. Okay. Also, it includes sex and passion and flirting and fun, right? Bringing those things back. Okay. So, guys, once you can do that, once you have trust in yourself and other people can trust you, you're able to communicate well, you're able to create intimacy. That's it. Like, you've got an amazing marriage. You really do. So, I teach these skills through my program and my one on one coaching. It's trust, communication, and intimacy. So I teach it. My clients go out and practice these skills. Okay. They're usually not very good at first, and that's fine. Okay. That's how it goes. When you learn a new skill, you're not that good at first. When you're building your physical strength, we all understand, like, okay, if I can do 10 push-ups today, I'm not going to be able to do 100 tomorrow. I have to kind of work my way up to that. Sometimes we expect more of ourselves with developing spiritual, mental, and emotional skills. Oh, I should just be able to manage my emotions even though I never have been able to. Oh, I should just be able to know what I'm thinking even though I've never really practiced that. No, like, it's going to take some repetitions to get good at it. So in my programs, that's what we do. In my program, Strongman System, that's what we do. We point these things out, we practice it. You guys send it in to me. I look at it, point out things that you can improve. Okay, just like if you're practicing a golf swing, someone on the outside can say, okay, just move your hand a little bit this way, right? And then you hit it farther. Same thing here. You're going to submit things to me. I'm going to look at it and say, okay, yeah, this was a little bit off. Let's fix it. So my clients, my students, they come in, they keep practicing, they keep getting better and better. And eventually, and in my opinion, the sooner this happens, the better. My clients, my students, they reach a level where they don't really need my help, right? And they can continue to progress on their own to deeper levels of trust, communication, and just intimacy in their marriage and in their life and in all their relationships. This extends to all your relationships, which is amazing. Okay. So that's my approach. There's some skills you need to learn. I'm going to teach you them. You're going to practice them. And then when you screw up, I'm going to help you figure out why you're screwing up. It's basically it. Okay. So I feel I bring a unique perspective between my professional training and my personal experience. Um, so I studied neuroscience in college. I understand the brain, how it works. Went to medical school after that, so I understand the body, how the body and brain integrate with each other and how they affect each other. Tools you can use for your body that affect your brain, all of that. Um, then psychiatry training, did lots of counseling, and therapy work in that. Then my personal experience with my own marriage, going through, with a wife who's been heavily sexually traumatized and working through that. And then my own multiple issues, right, that I had to see that I'm trying to teach high achieving guys, this one up behavior, not listening, and all that, really seeing my wife as an equal, also being able to speak up for myself, finding that balance. So, I know this works. I had to go through it myself. So, look, I'm not a fit for everybody. If one of these other things I talked about resonates with you more, awesome. Like, try to find somebody that does. But who I am really good at helping is for high achievers who want to learn the skills required for great relationships, and you're willing to put in the work to learn it. So, like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day for the first month. After that, you probably don't need quite that much. But if you do, 30 or 60, even if you do a full 90 days of like 1 to 2 hours a day of really good practice of this, you'll build the habits in and you'll be in really good shape. So, yeah, like if you want to learn skills and you're ready to get to work doing it and you want some expert advice on how to hone those skills, like I'm your guy. I'm happy to help you. So, this week only, October 5th to October 12th, I'm making a special offer to email subscribers and podcast listeners. So, you're going to get the Strongman system. Typically, it's $2,500 for 90 days of access to the program. So if you want to upgrade that to lifetime access, or if you want additional support like help with your apology letter or the ability to ask me questions or to have access to mentors, you pay additional fees for that. It's still a great deal. It's $500 a month to get that support. Extra to get the apology letter, but still a good value. But for this week only, what I found is 90 days is really a really good amount of time to kind of have people go through the 30 days of the program and then have like another 2 months after that to still be checking in, asking questions. Um, I've tried it lots of different ways, but this seems to be the best. And so I'm excited to offer this to you guys for this week. So I'm offering lifetime access to the program, my help with your apology letter. So 90 days of unlimited question and answers. So you can send in as many questions as you want to me for 90 days. Access to my handpicked mentors. I like to kind of assign mentors versus just having a group. I like you guys to be in contact with people who have gone through it and can really do a good job of helping you versus just, talking to anybody in the program who, maybe isn't really equipped to help you very well. So you're going to have access to the mentors, uh, access to my calendar for office hours coaching. Like I like meeting you guys. I like it when you come in and I get to hear your story and give you a couple tips, and you come into these sessions with a very specific question, we work on it and we get you to a good spot. Like, it's fun for me. I like it. So you're going to get all of that. Normally it would cost you $2,500 extra to get all those bonuses, $2,500 to $3,000, but you're going to get all of that for just that one-time fee of $2,500. So basically it's about half of what you normally pay if you wanted those 90 days of support. So and again, if after the 9 days, you're like, I would still like to be able to ask questions and kind of check in, no problem. I'm going to give you a 50% discount if you want to continue to have that access after the 90 days. So to jump in now, head over to MikeFrazierMD.com. There's a link right on that main page there. This is the best offer that I've made. You're not going to see it again for at least the next 90 days. I want to get a group in that is ready to go. We work together for 90 days and then I make sure I'm doing, taking care of you guys that are in there. Right. So, it's going to be at least another 90 days till you see this again. So sadly, guys, there's 2,046 divorces every day in the United States. That's from the US Census data. So in the next 90 days, guys, that's 184,140 divorces. It's a lot. Okay. So guys, jump in, join the strongman system. Make sure yours is not one of those divorces, right? If you're at that point, or even if it is, right? Sometimes that happens, you go through it. you will have learned what you needed to have a successful romantic relationship in the future. Because look, guys, if you don't figure this out and you get divorced, you will 100% repeat the same mistakes next time around. You just will. Okay. First marriage divorce rate's about 42%. Second marriage is 60%. Third marriage is 73%. So look, it's not people are like finally finding the right person, right? They do worse the more times they get married because they didn't figure this out. We attract people who are at about our same level of strength and skill, right? Our mental, emotional, spiritual, and sexual strength, and our interpersonal communication and intimacy skills. So when you build up your skills, you're going to attract someone who's at a higher skill level and be able to create a great marriage. Okay. If your wife's stepping away, she's probably a higher level than you right now, right? You need to step up your level, okay, so that she'll be attracted to you again. So, guys, again, if my approach resonates with you, if you're a person, a high achieving guy who's ready to really get to work, spend an hour and a half to 2 hours a day for those 30 days, and then continue on after that. Probably won't have to be that hour and a half to 2 hours, but probably still an hour or so a day after that for those 90 days. Come jump in. Looking forward to working with you. And so visit MikeFrazierMD.com and I will see you there. All right, stay strong, men. We'll see you next episode.